Hello, Global family, and welcome to our fifth episode of our widely known talk show, Quiet Please, the only one which gives goalball full attention. This is an event powered by ECA, the European Goalball Club Association, and brings you interviews of the most strong figures in our sport. As usual, the program is hosted by me, Pedro from Lisbon, and from the other side of Europe is Vilma from Vilnius, which is always a pleasure to be so close to Lithuania. You can also follow the program in our YouTube channel, but you can always listen to it in the normal podcast platforms such as Spotify, Google Podcast, and in iTunes. Today, our hero is also ECA Vice President, but he's not here on that quality. Not because of his work as member of the board should be recognized, but for one simple reason. His career in goalball has more than 20 years for the most part. As we know, for him, he's like a terror from the opposite defenses. His power shot is well known by everybody, and he's probably the most remarkable Swedish in our sport. Ladies and gentlemen, from Malmö in Sweden, Fatmir Seremeti. Thank you for being here with us today, and we are very curious to know all the stories that you have to tell us. So get ready.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
It's a pleasure for us too. So get ready for the start. Quiet, please. You play, Vilma. And before the start, we will see a very short video.
En man med ledarhund på väg in till en restaurang. Servitrisen möter upp.
Hej, kan jag hjälpa er med något?
Hej, vi vill gärna äta. Har du ett bord för två?
Hon ser ner på hunden.
Har du möjlighet att lämna hunden utanför kanske?
Nej, det är ju en ledarhund och de får ju lov att vara på restaurang. Men är det fullt?
Ja, ikväll har jag faktiskt ganska fullt. Det har jag.
Men vad menar du? Det är ju massa lediga plats.
Säger vännen.
Ja, men det kan finnas de personerna som är allergiska. Och det enda bordet jag har som ni skulle kunna sitta vid det här, men det är upptaget.
Ursäkta, menar du oss? Vi tänkte precis gå, så det är ledigt.
Ja, okej. Men nej, tyvärr. Jag kan inte ha en hund i restaurangen.
Josef, kom. Vi går.
De lämnar restaurangen. På gatan utanför hinner en av gästerna ikapp.
Du, det som hände där inne var inte okej.
Hon tar fram mobilen.
Jag tänker skriva på deras Facebook-sida.
Text. Kan du göra något? Allierad av Make Equal med stöd av Allmänna armsfonden.
So, Fatmir, it's a pleasure talking to you. So now you have become an actor. You and your dog Gibson, you played the main role, yes, in this video Make Equal. Can you tell us more? What kind of feedback did you get? I saw that really many people shared this video on Facebook.
Yeah, it's a video for showcasing the discrimination here in Sweden against guide dog users in restaurants, because there are about 300 guide dog users in Sweden, and almost everyone has got once or twice or many times discriminated when they want to go to a restaurant or to a place, public place with their dog. And we want to show like how it's how the discrimination actually works in real life. So we made a professional movie about it, just to showcase it. And the movie is actually called Allied. Like, how can you ally together with someone who's getting discriminated? And it shows other restaurant guests allying with me, that like to get to give me support, and how people can give people who is getting discriminated, how they can give them support.
It's good. So what are the first results after you released this video?
Well, I think about 25,000 have seen it until now, in about 1 week, and it's quite good. But we want more engagement. So I think we will send it to media now and to other. And it's interesting because people actually, in general, they don't know about this discrimination. And when you talk to people like, oh, well, these problems we have with our guide dogs in Sweden, they don't really understand. They just say, what, why, and why is that? And people doesn't really understand what's going on. So it's good to be able to do this kind of projects to showcase discrimination in society.
Fatmir, I'm really also very surprised because is it a serious problem in Sweden? Like they don't allow to get guide dogs going into restaurants?
It is a serious problem in Sweden because the laws for handling like food products and restaurants are very, very tough in Sweden. And it says the law says that you're actually not allowed to bring in animals into where food is made. But they have an exception in the law for guide dogs, for example. But this exception they don't really know about, so they just know about the strong law because they can, if they lose, if they have a regular dog there and a control will come, then they will lose the
license,
the license for serving alcohol, and alcohol beverages are actually what they make money on. So that is the biggest problem.
Yeah. Well, I'm upset to say that we don't have such discrimination problem because we don't have guide dogs in Lithuania.
And probably the laws are for food handling are not the same in Lithuania and Portugal, for example, as in Sweden. I don't know any country in the world that has as strong laws for food handling as we do in Sweden.
Okay. Well, but this video just shows, Fatmir, that you are a very active member in society. So let's talk now about your book. Yes, congratulations, your new book.
Thank you.
It's called From Darkness to Success.
Yes.
Correct? Well, so what is your main message in your book?
Well, actually, what I would like for people to know and to get to learn with my book is that, no matter how dark it seems, there is always a light, and there is always good things that will happen to you. I just wish like I could send back this book in time to a small Fatmir, a teenager who got to know like who got this visual impairment, and the doctor told him like, okay, listen, we cannot do anything, you will become blind. And when you're a teenager and you hear something like that, and you know that your dreams, your future as you planned and as you think it would be, it will be completely different. And things happen in your mind, in your soul, and in every aspect of your life. So many things happen, and it's easy.
How old were you, Fatmir, when
I was 13 years old.
How did you react and how did you cope with that?
Well, the first thought was like, okay, my life is over. It's like everything I planned for, everything my biggest dream was becoming a professional football athlete. So I trained a lot of football. Football was my life. Like from I woke up in the morning until I got to sleep, I had a football in my hands. Together with my brothers, we played lots of football, and we dreamed about becoming the new Pelé and the new Maradona, the new together with Zlatan. He lived in the same place, and some other players too. We everyone were like, oh wow, these guys will get really good. And then my visual impairment came, and my life was over. So I was really, really sad, and I was really I was very, very close on giving up in total. I actually had thoughts about ending my life because I didn't see any future for me at all.
So what became that light for you? You talk about light.
I believe that teenagers in general, and it's not only teenagers with disabilities, but teenagers in general today has a tough time about their future, about their thoughts, about everything. And you have to have someone to see up to, some idols, some people that has made something good out of their life. And what I saw when I got my visual impairment was like I saw like Stevie Wonder and those guys,
Okay.
and that was not me. Yeah, that was not really who who I could recognize with. So I needed some like athletes with visual impairment, and I got those when I came in contact with goalball. Then I met like Jimmy Björkstrand and Niklas Hultqvist and all of the other international players like Genrik and many others later on, who I saw that they could be stars. They could be someone, and if they can, I can also make something out of my life together with this sport. So it was great.
Okay, so this became your driving force. You talk a lot about driving force.
Absolutely, that sports has always been my driving force, and this has also been a way of getting rid of anxiety, because I had so much anxiety as a teenager. I had moments that I really believed that my breathing would stop. So what I did, like go to the gym or go out and running or go to goalball, because it made me feel better. So it became like a medicine for me. And also, like having something that I knew that I can always play goalball no matter how bad my eyesight would become. That was a great thing to fall back on.
So you say that this book is kind of a message, what you would like to say to Fatmir when you were 13 years old. So what would you tell now to yourself when you were a boy?
Well, actually just a simple thing that, what you think, what you work for, you will get. It may take time, but, you will become whatever you want if you just work for it. And what you give, you always get back. I've learned it like so many times as an adult, as a teenager. Like what I give, and especially what I give to other people, I always get back.
Okay.
It's really interesting, and also that it will be okay. You don't have to to become someone or to have a good job or to have a family, or because when you get a disability like that as a teenager, it's not just okay, my sport is gone, my life is gone, but you will also think existential questions like, how will my life become? Will I be able to study? Will I be able to raise a family? Will I be able to have a girlfriend? Will I be able, it's so many questions that needs an answer.
Fatmir, you talked already, you mentioned already your former teammate Jimmy Björkstrand. He also wrote a book. Did you get something from him, from that book, and was he a reference to you?
Well, just a little maybe, but actually my book was finished already in January. So I just waited for a publisher. It's not easy to get a publisher. Jimmy decided to publish his book himself.
Okay.
So that's that was the difference. But the difference is that Jimmy's book is about his global memories, almost just about his goalball memories.
Okay.
My book is like, yeah, of course, it's a lot of goalball in there too, but it's mainly about other things in my life, like how it is to get a visual impairment as a teenager, how you cope with it, how society copes with it, how it is to live in two cultures at the same time, because I came from originally from Kosovo. It's different culture and different view of people with disabilities, and then we lived in Sweden, so I had to handle that too, and it's so many other things.
How old were you when you moved to Sweden?
I was 9.
9. So how do you remember that transition period when you just immigrated?
Well, actually, coming to Sweden, I remember everything, because it was like, all right, maybe heaven is on earth when we came to Sweden, because
really?
Sweden is.
So what made you the biggest impression comparing to Kosovo?
Actually, apart from the political stuff, it's the niceness of people. Swedes are mostly very, very nice and gentle people. They are so tolerant, and that was, the first time we left the boat in the south of Sweden when we came, because we came by bus and boat, and it was a huge policeman who greeted us, welcome to Sweden, with this huge smile. When we saw police in Kosovo, you run.
Yes.
You don't stay there. He doesn't welcome you with a smile. He welcomes you with a slap.
With a gun.
Yeah. So in Sweden, it was like that gentleness, and also the nature of Sweden is really, really beautiful. If you ever have opportunity to travel around in Sweden, like from city to city, you have to do it, because it's really beautiful.
Really? So what is your favorite place for you in Sweden?
Well, as refugees, we got to stay in a really small place called Kisa. It's like 250 kilometers from Malmo, north of Malmo. It's like just beside a small lake in the woods, and we had this beautiful red cottage that we had. That is my favorite place on earth.
It would look like paradise, no, Fatmir?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Fatmir, you established your own company, Insight Visions. And in your presentation, you say that you are a lecturer, a speaker, and you offer events and conferences that gives a little extra. So what do you mean by this, a little extra that you offer to your listeners?
Well, actually, I worked with conferences and events for many years of my life. And there is always, one thing missing. You go to conferences about Agenda 2030, for example. You go to conferences about technology. You go to conferences about discrimination, and there is almost never a topic about people who has disabilities. It's always about gender and sexuality and the HBQ, what's they called? All of those topics, and also, of course, environment and those kind of things. But almost never is there talk about disabilities. And I would like to raise this topic more, because imagine now if we were just talking figures, if we were just talking economy and finances, how much would society save in finances if we could get people with disabilities off the social security payments and get them into real work? what would it mean to the person themselves? What would it mean to society in total? This we never talk about. And this is the extra. This is the, like, if you will make a conference, why don't you make a conference like that is accessible for all? Have you ever thought about those PowerPoint presentations, like with 50 pages of figures and numbers and words? What does they say? Does anyone do actually all of your audience see what it says? Have you ever thought that there could be people that cannot hear what you're talking about if you don't have accessible features in that conference room? So it's so many aspects of this thing.
Okay, so what you said that your big vision in life is to really help all people with disabilities to be able to study, to work, to be active members of society. So what do you think can we all do in order to help with this big vision? Because I think many people are just afraid. It's like living is easy with eyes closed. It's easier not to see that there are disabled people.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, in Sweden, about 51% of people with visual impairment are unemployed.
Okay. But is it their choice? Do you think it's their choice?
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. It's not their choice. It's a failure in our society, and our politicians. They don't know how to manage this. They don't know how to, because there is a lot of money put into this, but they don't know how. And you know why? It's because people who doesn't have a disability, they decide and they know, and they decide projects, and they think they know what we need, and then in the end it doesn't suit people with disabilities. My vision is like people in decisive positions, they will themselves have disabilities because they know what it takes. It's so often, I go to a building or something they have built, and they call me and they say, hey, can you come and check the accessibility in this building? It's brand new and it's great for everyone with disabilities. And then I go there and we can actually not use the toilet for that is supposed to be for people with disabilities. It's like it's built according to the rules, but it's not really practical. And this is the main problem, I think, that people without disabilities know how people. It's like, for example, if I, as a Swede, would decide how people in Portugal would want to live their lives.
Yeah,
it wouldn't work because I don't know the culture. I don't know I don't know anything basically about how you people want to live your lives, and what is most and most practical for you. And it's the same thing. Society has to involve people with disabilities more into the decision making, because then we will get more people being able to study in universities and higher education. Then we will get more people to be able to have better jobs, and then we will be able make it easier for people to have executive jobs, like, for example, in big companies or something like that. In Sweden, we always talk about, okay, how many women and how many men is there in a executive board of a big company, for example, SAS or other big companies. But how many have you ever in your life heard how many percentage of those people has a disability?
Yeah.
No one talks about it. And that's my biggest dream, like to be able to come to to a point in society where we actually talk about, okay, where does all of these bright brains with visual impairment or other disabilities, where do they go? We have in Sweden, I don't know about Portugal or Lithuania or other countries, but I believe it's the same because it's almost the same systems. We have in Sweden people with higher university points than actual doctors, and they are unemployed.
Fatmir, actually, in Portugal, we have a blind state secretary, which has those kind of subjects to make equal opportunities to everybody, people with disabilities and not. Actually,
yeah, and that is the best way. That is the absolutely best way to bring up the topics on the level that it should be.
It's true. It's
not
true.
Yeah.
You were at the running camp recently. What new things can you tell to the goalball community about running?
Well, actually, it was very interesting because I love all sorts of training, and maybe running during my goalball career, running was maybe the most boring thing, and right now I think that. Right now, I think that running is the most fun thing to do.
Really? What changed?
Well, actually, I had when I quit on the national team last year in October, I went from training about 10 times a week to about 2 times a week. And then when coronavirus came to Sweden in like March, I didn't train at all. So I got really, really unfit. And then I had to, I just felt like, okay, I'm not feeling good. I have to get in shape again. So I started training a lot. And I found like running is quite fun, and actually running outside with other people is really fun. So that's what's changed. But I can really recommend all goalball players, or everyone who loves training at all. If you get an opportunity, you should use a running coach sometimes in your life, because running could get so much fun if you could do it in a better way. And it's in an easier way. You can run faster and longer, and it doesn't feel like it's so hard as before. And I believe especially people with visual impairments who loves to run and who likes to do it, they should really use a real running coach, because you can get so many tips and so many information on how to run efficiently.
Okay. And Fatmir, you were in this 25 days, 25 push-ups challenge, right? Is it an easy challenge for you?
Yeah, it's quite easy actually. It's not the push-ups themselves, but I believe that it is because I get tagged in so many Facebook things all the time, like, oh, this challenge, that challenge. I never accept anyone else, but this thing touched my heart, about mental illnesses and raising awareness for this kind of thing. Like it's okay to feel bad and to not feel good someday, and you should talk to someone if you're not feeling well. I think that's important. That's why I accepted it.
Okay, it's a very nice idea behind it. May I ask you something? Can you pass this challenge for me? I would also like to do this.
Oh yeah, of course. Why not? Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Fatmir, you have a role as a vice president of European Goalball Club Association. Can you tell us more about this position?
Well, it's an honor to be like part of a board that starts something this big and this challenging and this interesting as EDCA is. I think EDCA is doing something that is that will transform global totally in the future. I think we will see like with the Champions League in football or the biggest leagues. I think it's a really interesting view of how global will be received. Just not only by the players and by the clubs, but also by companies and sponsors and spectators.
Very good. Fatmir, don't go anywhere. And also our viewers and listeners, because will be our first break. We will be right back for the second part. So welcome back to our second part of Quiet Please talk show. Vilma, what we have to say about national and global context?
Oh, so as once IPSA president Janne Hammershøi said that she had the biggest number of her competitions in global in Malmö in Sweden. So that is where Fatmir lives. So Fatmir, can you tell us more about Malmö? Do you think this city represents the whole Sweden, or is it really unique and different?
Well, actually, for many years since the beginning or since the end of the 1990s, we were very fortunate to have really good players in Malmo, and some people that really that global meant so much for them that they basically gave everything they had for this sport, and two of them are the Bjorkstrand brothers,
Yes.
Peter and Jimmy.
Yes, best regards.
Yeah, they meant so much for the Malmo Global. They kept together, the club. They kept together our competitions like the Intercup, both for men and for women, and also Malmo Open. We also had a guy called Rickard, who was coach for us in the beginning, and then Henrik Bergqvist that became coach both for the ladies national team in the beginning, and then for us for the men's team until 2008. So we were really fortunate to have some really good people who loves the sport and who kept together everything. And then slowly we other people like myself and my brother, we grew into it and could pick up where they left off and develop it further. So I believe that Malmo has always been like in the edge of Swedish global. The Swedish championships says so much too. I mean, I think we have 14 or 15 Swedish championship gold medals since year 2000. So it says quite much, but we have tough times now because many of the old players have stopped. It's really difficult to get young and new players to start playing goalball, especially now when there are more opportunities for them to do, like these computers and games and everything. They take some, and then some other sports take some, and it's actually in a good way, but society is also slowly getting better and easier for people to do other stuff, like for example running or doing other activities like skiing or something like that. So for a unique sport like goalball, it's really difficult in Sweden right now.
So what is the situation now? Because the last time I met you, it was in February. So then, like, the coach of national men's team quit, you quit, then the ladies team also quit. The youngsters team had no coach. They were looking for a new coach. What is the situation now?
Yeah, actually, I think 2 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, something, they announced, the federation announced that they have found a new coach. It's a woman, and she came from basketball
Okay.
and also is a personal trainer. So she will be head coach for both men and women's team and also the youth team. And then Michael Ockerberg
Yes,
is
yes.
assistant coach for,
Okay.
and a lady called Jennifer will also assist. Both Michael and Jennifer knows a lot of goalball, so
Yes.
I don't think they will lack in goalball knowledge. And I believe that Annika, that is the new coach, she will bring in so much new thoughts, and actually I believe that it's really good sometimes to get in new blood and new uh, ideas, a new completely new view to a sport. I believe that it will be a good combination, but of course it will be tough for Sweden to maybe compete in the highest level for a couple of years, and I hope, and what I have seen and learned, that they have a plan for 2028, so they have lots of time to take it easy and develop and work together a strong team for the future. And of course, I think that many of us old players, like if they call and say, hey, we need, maybe you can come to a training camp and help out, of course we would be able to do that. But I think it's good to build a new team now. It's their time, we have
Yeah.
had ours.
But
Fatmir.
Fatmir, did you actually quit?
Yeah, I did my last game against Czech Republic in the Europeans, and at first it was really really sad. I couldn't hold my tears, so they were just running. But because I knew, I had decided, like, okay, if we don't make it to Tokyo, this is my last game. This is my last tournament in the Europeans in Germany. So it was decided already before. So at first it was like really really empty, because all of a sudden an athlete like me, we live for our goals, we live for our next tournament and next tournament to prepare, and we have to decide, and we have to do this and that, and all of a sudden all of that is gone. So at first it was really really empty, and I felt quite bad. But family, friends, activities, my company, I really didn't have so much time to ponder on this quitting. And with time it got easier, and actually now I'm really confined with having quit, and having done my part on the national team for 20 years. It's like, I've done my best, and we have managed to do stuff, and to perform in a way that maybe many times not we or anyone else would think would be possible. So I'm quite happy with my career. It's time to leave it over to the younger guys.
Yeah, like the Scorpion sings the wind of change. Yeah, so it's what's happening in your life, and we would like to talk more about music.
Yeah. Actually, Sweden is not always connected in music to ABBA, because everybody knows ABBA,
Yeah.
But Vilma and I were talking, and she said, and actually she's true, best songwriters lives in Sweden. And
Yeah.
and you also have cool projects like in jazz, like Coop project, and also like Lisa Ekdahl, which was very known in the beginning of this century in 2000s. I mean, they are still working, but
Yeah.
which kind of music do you like, and what do you think about this? And actually, Roxette is from Malmo, no?
No, it's quite close,
Oh, okay.
but not really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice try, Pedro.
Yeah. It's about 250 kilometers from here, so it's not really so
Yeah,
close.
okay.
Well,
But,
what music I listen to? Actually, I listen to everything, basically. When I was a teenager, I find so much comfort and uh, so much energy in rap music. Not this rap music that is made today, but most like 1980s.
mhm,
Tell us
mhm,
some names.
Well, actually, Tupac Shakur,
mhm.
Ice Cube, and those guys. They were like the original ones. um, but later on, I learned like to listen to other beautiful music. Like um, I can listen all from classical music to opera. It doesn't really matter if I'm in the mood of listening to classical music. I do it. So it's not really. But when I train, I would like more aggressive
Yeah.
music, more beat. So like I could listen to Sabaton one day and then listen to Bach another day.
Oh,
Okay. Well, what are your favorite songs for warm up? For global warm up?
Mostly we have a loudspeaker with us when we went to tournaments. So we have to have some music that everyone can listen to. So mostly pop music or like that. So it's music like that everyone can be confined with. So, but of course, I always put in some rap music in there.
Okay. And we noticed that, for example, in Super League games, there is one Belgian player, Clisson Mapreni, and you speak Albanian language to each other. As you mentioned, you come from Kosovo. Can you tell us about this a bit? Do you do anything in order maybe to help to develop goalball in Kosovo or Albania or in Balkans?
Well, actually, many years ago, like 2008 or something, me, my brother Florian, the referee Knut
Yeah, Kursave, no?
Kursave,
Yeah.
he was also coach for the English team and the German
Yes.
team, and then some old referees called Rob and Yoke Hart.
Yes.
We were in Kosovo and we were trying to develop their skills and their goalball, and we had about 30 or 40 players there in this training camp. And I've always been, available for them to help them out. But the problem is they haven't been able to be part of IPSA yet because about their national status in the UN and stuff like that. In some federations, they are part of, like for example, FIFA and FIBA, the basketball and the handball federation, and many other federations. I believe also judo. I think the track and field federation too, but not goalball yet. So they have some more things to work on, but I believe that in the future, because that right now it's huge political problems in Kosovo. So I don't think that sport is really the biggest issue right now. They have had troubles getting together a government for like 2 years now or something. So it's
But
really difficult.
don't you think it's weird, it's strange that there is no goalball in your neighbor country, Norway, or in Iceland?
Well, there was goalball in Norway before, but I believe that it's quite a small country in people, but it's so huge in big in the area, and it's difficult to get together like a team of 6 players that want to play goalball. It's like almost the same problems that we've got in Sweden now, but we have these big cities like Malmo, Stockholm, Gothenburg, but where quite a few visually impaired people live. But I believe that it's the curse of these countries like Sweden, Norway, that people live so far apart. Like if, for example, in Belgium, you can take a train, and in 1.5 hours you're from this side of the country to the other side of the country.
Yes.
In Sweden, if I want to go to Stockholm, it's a train ride for 6 hours. So it's quite difficult. I believe also that, for example, in Sweden or Norway, people can do so much other things too.
Yeah. Fatmir, one of your roles is availability consultant. What are the main problems in Sweden regarding availability?
Well, it's actually called accessibility, and the main problem is that everything is getting digitalized right now. It's actually both a problem and a good thing, because if you digitalize everything, you can get it in a right way, then it's accessible for visually impaired people. But if you don't do it in a right way, then you exclude.
It becomes an obstacle, no?
Yeah, it becomes an obstacle. Like, for example, if I want to buy a ticket for a train, and they have these touch screens that doesn't have any accessible features in them, then it becomes an obstacle instead of a possibility for me. For example, if they would have a text to speech feature in it that I can put on when I'm using the screen, then it would be able for me to use it. You can go wherever you want.
Actually is a paradox, because the much easier normal people get, the harder the disability people will get. Yeah.
Sometimes, but sometimes not, because look at one of the world's greatest, biggest companies in the world, like for example Apple. They understood quite early that if they built in accessibility into their devices, they will reach so many people in instantly. For example, they have accessibility for visually impaired people, for hearing, like hearing aids. They have so much accessibility built into their devices, so that I can just buy an Apple product and I can use it on my own. If a company like Apple understands that, then everyone else should understand that there are a customer base for this. There is people that needs this. And when I hold my lectures for companies or other society groups, I always tell them, like, okay, actually there is just a group maybe that in society that is not disability, that doesn't have any disability, but as old as we get, we will have more and more disabilities.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, when you're born, you're a baby, you need help with everything. Okay, your parents need to help you with everything, and then you grow up, and then you slowly start to being able to take care of yourself, and then comes a period when people needs to take care of you again.
Yeah, it's true.
It's
true.
like that's life, and you know, the tourism hotels, they have understood this. You know, you can go to Egypt, you can go to Lithuania, you can go wherever. You will see like ramps built in so that they can carry their wheelchairs or their something into hotels. You know, if you go to tourist places, it's quite accessible because they know that people will get old, and if they want to keep those customers, they have to be able to build so that
Yeah.
they can come there again and again and again. But if you have a place that where if you break your leg or you're too old, you cannot walk, then you cannot go into the hotel, you won't go there again.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's quite easy, actually.
It is. Fatmir, thank you. We'll be right back for the third and the last part where we're talking about inside goalball. So don't go anywhere.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the third and the last part where we were talking about inside goalball. And Vilma, what do we have to say about it?
Oh, Fatmir, I would like to talk to you about Super European Global League because you was the one, together with Erki and Lithuanian coach Karolis Levickis, there were the 3 countries, 3 clubs who started the Super European Global League. Yes? Do you remember the beginning? How did you discuss it? How did that idea come to your mind?
Actually, you know, Malmo back then was a really great club. We had so many good players, and we were often we went to Lithuania for training camps together with the Lithuanian
I
national team.
remember.
Yeah, and you know, we were starting about you know, talking to Karolis and Erki about this opportunity. Like, you know, our dream was to give high quality players more opportunities for competition in their club teams, not only national teams, but for example in the club teams. And there was not many competitions where you could get that kind of high level competition. Now the thing was also that we were quite fed up, like with the lack of interest from other federations or like that, because you know, quality of the referees, quality of the competitions, how they were done, how they were held, was also quite low back then. So what our dream was like to put together a competition format that makes it possible for high quality players in their club teams to be able like to get together a couple of weekends per year and perform without having to think about, okay, this referee, we have to have her or him on the other side because she's not good, she cannot see the high balls, long balls, or anything. And you know, food, accommodations, time tables, everything would be like as professional as possible. That was a dream, and slowly we made it.
Yeah, are you satisfied?
Well, actually, both yes and no. Of course, a person like me, and I think Erki and Karolis we will never be satisfied. You know, there is always
yeah, these people move the world.
Yeah, there is always, you know, like things that could be better, that could be done in a better way. I think you know, we're so happy that since we got to know Luis, also that has been a real, you know, driving force for both Segel and Edka and Marcia also. these great people around this organization is like it's like a dream, a dream coming true for me at least. I just wish. Sometimes I think about my career and my goal, and I just wish that I was like 15 years younger, so that I could start. I could start now.
Now, okay.
And be able to take part of all of these beautiful things that are going to be reality with Segel and with Edka, because there are some really, really good people involved in this. And I think what Sporting started, I don't even think they know themselves what they have done for this sport, because okay, even if it's not like professional, like for example in football or something like that, they have started something huge with being able to bring players from other continents and high raise the level of goalball in this way. It's huge.
Yeah, I think like it developed from 5 clubs in the beginning in Super League, and now it's like nearly 20 clubs that participate in Super League.
Yeah.
So thank you to Luis, Marcia, those people who are behind the camera now, and they are doing this show together with us. And Fatmir, you were the best scorer in Super League several times. Tell me, how come you had such a strong throw?
Well, it's fun making goals.
Really?
It's really fun. And I believe that if you're going to be a good scorer, you should really not see the limits. You should see the possibilities. I really firmly believed that every one of my shots would be a goal.
Okay.
Even if they didn't do that, even if they didn't go into the goal, I believe that if I wanted to, I could score. In this shot, I will score. And then they took the ball. Okay, next one, I will score. So I believe a good thrower, someone who wants to make many goals. There is 2 parts in it. You have to have a good team, because it's no use for me making 10 goals if we let in 11.
Yes.
No use. So you have to have a really good team, and you have to have a good psychological what's it called?
Atmosphere in the team, or
both in the team and in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that it's not only the tall guys that can score. I can do this also. You don't have, if you look through the limitations and just see the possibilities, I believe that you can become a much better goalball player. I believe that, I've always said that, and I will say that until I die, like goalball is 50% physical abilities and 50% psychological abilities. You can be as tall, as fit, as strong, as explosive as you want. If you don't have the psychology to go together with it, you will never succeed.
It's funny because one of the questions that I was going to ask you is what is your mindset when you train? But you said it already. You focus very, very much on the possibility that you will score the goal and not that you can score the goal. That's why you already said it. But now that you finished your career, how can you focus in your manager life, not as a player, not anymore?
Well, actually, I won't quit goalball completely. I will still play in fifth Malmo. I will just train like goalball once or twice a week. But
so you
I like
quit
training.
on national level. Yes, you quit
I
on
quit on the
national
national
level,
team.
but you will continue in Super League and Okay.
Yes, exactly. At least 1 more or 2 more years or something. We will see. If I think it's fun, I will do it. If I don't think it's fun, I won't do it, because that's also a thing. Talking about psychology. If you don't think something is fun, like a sport anymore, then you shouldn't do it anymore. Not on that level.
Yeah.
And I like to see these young guys and girls, boys and girls that I have in fifth. I would like to see them develop and maybe give them a possibility of competing in the highest level someday.
Okay.
So that's also something I work for. But I also do other sports now. I do some cycling. I would like to try triathlon sometimes. And yeah, of course, a marathon is coming up maybe next year or this year. We'll see.
Wow.
And also, the biggest goal is to do an Ironman
Okay.
next year or the year after
Iron
that.
Man next year. Yes, go Fatmir.
Yeah, so that's I have goals also with my training. So it's interesting and it's good and it's fun to challenge myself. It's fun to see that, okay, what can I do? Where is my limits?
What can I do next? Yeah.
Yeah.
But Fatmir, I really wanted to ask you, you were coached by your brother, Florian, for many years.
Yeah.
How was this part? Tell us about two
You know,
brothers in goalball.
I have had that question so many times during my goalball career.
Okay. You are
And,
bored to answer it? No.
No, actually, no, it's okay. I think it was in 2009. We had a guy called Jürgen that was coach for us. And we were at a training camp in Stockholm, and on our way back to Malmo, he asked me, we were sitting in the cafeteria in the train, and he asked me, like, I need someone else that knows goalball more than me, because he knew everything else, but it was a great for organizing things, but he didn't know so much goalball. And he said, like, I was thinking about your brother Florian, and he was quite young then, and I was like, what, is this a dream? Am I
You didn't believe in your brother?
or what would you think about having? No, I believed in my brother, but I didn't believe that actually, that the federation and Jurgen would have him, because he was so young. that was the thing, that he was so young. I think he was only like 22 or 3 or something back then. So I said that, hey, for me, it wouldn't be a problem, like having my brother as a coach, because me and Florian, we have always been really, really close. Even before he became a coach for the national team, he helped me to develop a lot. We could sit hours and hours looking at video, analyzing techniques and analyzing things like that, and developing my shots and my defense and everything. So it was for me, it was not so hard. And actually, first time we went into a Paralympics together with him by my side, it was just another dream coming true. Like we get to do this together. So we have had so much fun all of these years. Of course, there was some days, sometimes that we actually really didn't disagree, but for the most part, I had to give him okay, you were right, I was wrong. And I remember it was a special moment in Sao Paulo, 2015, I think, the qualifier for Rio. And we were going to play Iran in the quarterfinals, I think. This guy, Iranian guy, I don't remember his name, throws so hard. He had made like 6 or 7 goals per game, and he was there really, top scorer. And the night before the game, and during our team meeting, Florian says, "Hey, guys, we will beat them, and I know just how. I won't say anything now, but I know just how we will do it." I was like, "Okay, my God, what does he have thought of now?" And just 1 hour before the game, during the warm up, he came to me and he said, "Listen to me. You have to listen. Now I know that it will be difficult for you to do this, but you have to listen to me. You have to move in 1 meter. Okay, you have to let go 1 meter on your post." And for everyone who knows goalball, like 1 meter it's 1 kilometer.
Yeah.
It's a huge gap.
Yes.
So you have to go in and cover Stefan, because all of the goals this player does, it's between the center and your wing. Everyone. So 6-7 goals per game he makes there. If we close that gap, we win the game. And I was like, "Are you crazy?" And my post, and like, just let it go. Okay, trust me. And we did that, and he didn't score a single goal on us, and we won the game, I think 9-1 or something. It was huge. So Florian could do these kind of things, and he was a coach that dare do these kind of things. And even if I disagreed with him sometimes, I was like really skeptical to this thing. Like, hey, 1 meter, like I have to move 1 meter more than I usually do. It's huge. But in the end, he almost every time got it right, and that's what made him such a successful coach.
Yeah, smart coach, Florian.
Yeah.
We're gonna miss you. Okay, and there is a new trend that teams really started mixing with each other, and you, Fatmir, did a lot of that. You played for Sporting Club de Portugal. You also go abroad. You have foreign players that play for Fifth Malmö team. How does it feel to play with global players from other countries, or to play in one team, like with Erki or other strong players from other teams?
Well, actually, I would encourage everyone that has a possibility to do that to try and do that.
Why?
Because it's a good way of developing. You get to. Normally, you just play against Araki or against Lithuanians or something like that, and when you play with them, you get to learn so much, and you get to know like how are they thinking, how are they doing. When I played with Araki now a couple of times, and in the beginning it's like he's everywhere. Now I know how he's thinking. It's interesting. I would encourage everyone that has possibilities, to mix it up and play together with other different styles and players. You should do it at least once or twice, because it's good for your development. And you also know, okay, I can also do that, or I could develop this, and I could okay, how does Clisson think when he plays in the center or in the wing? How does he, what technique does he use to do everything in a court? So it's really interesting.
But then you are like a spy, for your team, if like they think.
Well, maybe a little, but mostly you're like developing your own game and getting to know so much from better players. It's interesting. I think you mostly develop your own game. It's not about being a spy or something, because everything actually, we know in our national team, Florian knows exactly how many centimeters a player moves his hand or his feet or his head or where he's looking at. We have got so many, well, a few players like having their eye shades a bit too high up or something like that. We know everything about people, about other players, but it's more interesting to get to know them when you play together. It's like, okay, how do you do?
Mhm.
Yeah. One last question, Vilma.
Well, I didn't know that was going to be the last one, but I was really touched, Fatmir, by what you told about your feelings after Rio. You played in the bronze game in Rio. Can you tell us about that? What you felt, what Florian, the coach, talked to you?
Yeah, I actually start my book with that
Brilliant.
scenery from Rio, and it's, I think it sums up my career quite well. In Rio, we did something that, just qualifying for Rio was really tough for us. We were down in the B division in Europeans 2014. Didn't go to Worlds in Finland. Afterwards, we were to Sao Paulo, and then we, after such an amazing journey, we made it to Rio, and no one believed that.
Seoul, yeah. Not Sao
Yeah.
Paulo, but Seoul, I think.
Seoul, sorry, Seoul. It was Seoul. I talked about Seoul before also.
Yeah.
I said Sao Paulo, I think, but I meant Seoul.
Okay.
And then, we were so happy just getting to Rio and getting to Paralympics and making yet another Paralympics, and so we just thought that, okay, we will do our best and see how far we can go. And going to a bronze game with our team, it was like a huge dream coming true, and also playing against the home team with that crowd, it was amazing. Players like me, I believe you always want to win, and somewhere down in your heart, you believe that you will win, no matter the opposition. And it started really good. I think we were up 4-0 or something in halftime, and then they took in the lead, and in the end it was 5-5, I believe, or 6-6. It was crazy. The crowd was crazy. It was like the most fun game I've ever played.
Wow.
And then we lost on golden goal. When you're so close to taking yet another medal with you home, and to being able to close a career like that would be almost like a complete dream coming true. But right there and right then, I was so disappointed. I cried, and I was just thinking like, oh, you're so bad. Everything, all of those bad things, bad words, bad feelings comes and slams into you, like, and makes you like the most little guy in the world. And then Florian came to me, and he gave me a hug, and he says, like, listen, I was just waiting, like, oh, we lost, not so good, and blah blah, like that. But this guy that always have had expectations on me, and knew what to say to make me like compete harder. He said two words that actually made a difference on how I see my career at all. He said, "Be proud." Like, be proud on not just only this tournament, not just only your global career, but of your life. Like, remember where you were once, and what you have been able to do, and what you have been able to accomplish in your life until now, and what you still have to accomplish, and that everything is possible. And it meant so much, because all of a sudden, all of those bad words and these angry demons that were telling me how bad I am, they just got quiet and disappeared. And I could, for the first time in my goalball career, after a defeat like that, take a deep breath and just take in everything, like the crowd, the Brazilians that were partying over there and having fun. And I could, for the first time after a loss on this level, be able to just breathe and be in the moment. And I told myself, like, cherish this moment, because only God knows if you will have a chance to do this again ever.
Fatmir,
So it was great.
your brother was absolutely right. You have to be very proud to what you've became, and I think this is the best best way to end this talk show. I speak for myself, then Vilma will speak for herself too, of course. But it's been a privilege to interview you, because the little boy of 13 years old who thought that he had no future, you really became a shining star. You are a true hero, Fatmir. So you just have to continue to inspire people, not only for your career as a goalball player, but also from what you have to give to in the future. And I hope you have a continuous and a very nice future in ahead of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fatmir. I hope to see you in Super League this autumn.
Yeah, we hope we can have some tournaments soon again. Me and Erky were in Canada, and we had this last goalball tournament in the world before it closed. So.
You drank Corona beer, I saw.
Yeah, you saw it. Great.
So I have to tell to our followers that this will be our last Quiet Please talk show of this season, because now we are entering in a kind of holiday period. We will be back in September. So until then, have fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.